I think it's enormously serious. I think President Xi Jinping is facing his biggest challenge yet as Chinese leader on the internal front. Obviously, with Hong Kong, 9 weeks now of protests, and just today and yesterday, Chinese leaders have been sending messages to the Hong Kong protesters: don't mistake our restraint for weakness.
Right.
And when one was asked whether or not military force would be ruled out, he wouldn't rule that out. And so Xi Jinping has to show himself able to create order without doing anything excessive on both fronts. And in both cases, he doesn't control President Trump entirely, and he doesn't control the protesters entirely. He's in retreat right now. It's the annual government retreat of government leaders, and it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of that probably in mid-August.
Sure, and there's so many different interpretations of the events of the last few days and whether it shows that China has a strong or a weak hand. Here's the Wall Street Journal today, not op-ed, just the regular coverage. They say, China's leaders appear to have concluded they won't secure an acceptable trade deal with President Trump. What they can do is try to weather the next 18 months while inflicting maximum political damage, hope that a weakening U.S. economy delivers a new president. What do you say?
Well, I think that comes pretty close to the mark. The person that I read regularly on Twitter, and I think all of your viewers who care about what the Chinese government is actually doing should read him. His name's Hu Zhijin, and it's spelled Xijin. He's the editor of the Global Times. And I'll read you exactly what he said, because he now in his tweets comes closest to government thinking. And he says, no new tariffs will by no means bring closer a deal that the U.S. wants. It will only make it further away. I think the Chinese will no longer give priority to controlling trade war scale. They will focus on the national strategy under a prolonged trade war. So I don't think it's just through 2020. I think they see that this is a generational struggle between two systems, economic and political.
Right.
And this may be costly to them. It may be costly to their consumers. It may be costly to their economy. But I just don't think that they're going to make big concessions from their side at this point with President Trump.
What do you make of their move last night to fix the currency stronger than it was trading in the market? I mean, is that a sign? And that's when we saw a whole, when futures were down 600 points in the U.S. They fixed it higher. We turned around. We're positive today. Did China blink?
No, I don't think China's in a blinking mood. I think China sent a signal that we have weapons other than trade that we can use. And there's a lot of other things they can do, too. They can point to licenses. They can make companies, U.S. companies, be called unreliable. They can just say, don't trade with them any longer, just as they did with agricultural goods after the tariffs. So I think they were sending a message that we can do stuff. But they also know that devaluing the currency doesn't help them. It would raise their debt costs, it would increase the consumer costs, and it would cause them a lot of difficulties with their domestic demand and domestic economy. So they wanted to send a signal, but they didn't want to go much over the 7 mark in terms of the price of the
The only thing it seemed
yuan
to do successfully was provoke the president.
It provoked the president. Now the president's in a really interesting position. People are talking about a Trump put that if the market goes down far enough that he could ease tariffs, he could ease sanctions on Huawei, take some other action. I just don't see how he pulls that off politically any longer, because I don't think the Chinese are going to give him an opening from their side in terms of their own concessions.